Well, this evening we begin a two-part series on breast reconstruction. Each year in this province, more than 350 people are diagnosed with breast cancer. For many of them, that will mean a mastectomy, the removal of one or both breasts. Now there is a growing movement to educate women about the benefits of reconstructive surgery. And this evening we introduce you to two cancer survivors who are leading the charge. They are committed, candid, and courageous. And we call them inspiring women. And we want to let our viewers know that this report deals with mature subject matter. Viewer discretion may be advised.
And we'll see our ribbon here on the...
A year ago, they didn't know each other, but now Joan O'Coin and Stacey D'Agostino share a strong bond. They were brought together by a breast cancer support group. Stacey is just 33. She found a lump in her breast in January, and after months of testing and a lumpectomy, the news came in May that both breasts would have to be removed.
Which was actually Mother's Day weekend, and they called me in on a Friday to go get the results, and they told me that I needed to have both removed because of the type that it was. However, it was very, very early, the earliest stage possible for, any sort of breast cancer. So my options were either have them both removed or have chemo and drugs. And I said, take them off. There was no hesitation. I just said, take them off, and when can you do it?
For Joan, the story was similar and familiar. Joan's mother had breast cancer as well. Joan was first diagnosed back in 1999. One breast was removed, and a year later, she opted to have the second taken as well.
So they had offered me lumpectomy and radiation, and I opted for mastectomy immediately because I just felt that was, like Stacey, I had two small children. I was 38 years old, and my focus was my children. And I have no regrets about that. It was my decision. It was done. And a year later, I opted to have the other breast off as a precaution. I was very tired of wearing a prosthesis. I felt unbalanced. I didn't feel confident, not at all. I didn't find it very comfortable. So after the year, I said, this is it. I said to my husband, I'm going for breast reconstructive surgery, and look at what my options were, and I had the tram flapped on, and I never looked back. One step in front of the other and kept going.
And you're very happy with the result?
Absolutely, very happy. I show them all the time. I go to a lot of conferences and I do show them to women, and they're amazed because it's my own skin, my own tissue, and they look very natural, and they fall after a period of time. They fall like a normal breast, so I absolutely love it. I have no regrets.
Joan and Stacey are adding their voices to the growing number of people who feel that breast reconstruction needs to be talked about a lot more than it has been. And that's what Bra Day, or Breast Reconstruction Awareness Day, was all about. On the 19th of October, this downtown bar was filled with women who've undergone breast reconstruction and women who are considering it. A number of plastic surgeons were there as well. It was an opportunity for women to talk and get information, and most importantly, to become informed about your post-mastectomy options.
I think it's an excellent event. Gives a lot of resource and opportunity for us to talk to individuals on a specific basis and answer all their questions.
Yeah, I think it's not always an option given to a lot of women. A lot of women don't know that could potentially be an option for them. So yeah, no, I think a lot of women are going through their treatments without necessarily spending a lot of time thinking about potentially reconstructing.
I had a lady in clinic last week tell me that it changed her life. That before she had a reconstruction, she wouldn't look at herself in the mirror. She wouldn't look at herself when she had her clothes off. Now she's much more confident. She's gone on holidays, and she just feels better about herself.
Dr. Joy Cluett is one of the plastic surgeons who would like to see women become more informed. A breast cancer diagnosis and breast removal can be devastating. But Dr. Cluett sees firsthand what reconstruction can mean.
Every time they look down and they see the scar, it's a constant reminder to them of the past and the future. But once they undergo reconstruction, it enables a lot of women to move on, which I think is a huge step in their recovery.
What are you hoping the outcome will be?
Well,
Well, we're going to have part 2 on your series tomorrow night. What can we look forward to then?
Well, we're going to hear more details about the options that are available to women when it comes to breast reconstructive surgery. And also, Fred, it's important to note that there's a big push right now to have a multidisciplinary clinic at the Dr. H. Bliss Murphy Cancer Center in St. John's, and that's where people go when you're diagnosed with breast cancer. Not only would you be meeting with your medical oncologist or your radiation oncologist or your surgeon, you'd also be meeting with a plastic surgeon to talk about your options after having a mastectomy. That would probably require the establishment of a clinic there, would probably require some provincial government funding, and I think you're going to hear a lot more about that over the next little while. And a lot of the women we talked to said it would definitely be money very well spent. So we'll have more on this series tomorrow night.
And we've seen some high-profile politicians on both sides of the House of Assembly go through breast cancer in the last few years.
Absolutely. So it's something that a lot of women would like to see, to make people more aware of what their options are.
Okay, look forward to that.
Well, right now we're going to take a break. Well, last night we introduced you to 2 women who have battled breast cancer and have decided to have reconstructive surgery. Joan O'Coin and Stacey D'Agostino have been very open about their experience and want other women to benefit from it. Well, this evening in part 2 of Inspiring Women, we take a closer look at what breast reconstruction means and what's involved. If you watched part 1 of the series, you will know that Joan is quite proud of her breast reconstruction. She formed a support group for women with breast cancer, and she doesn't mind showing what reconstruction can do. And it is an amazing job. Joan had what is called the tram flap procedure. Tissue and fat are taken from your abdomen, and that's what's used to form new breasts. Nipples are tattooed on, and that's it. Joan hopes her message will be heard by other breast cancer patients.
Well, I think there's a lot of women, especially outside of St. John's, like you said, the rural areas, that are unaware of what their options are, and it's not being told to them. You know, after surgery, post-mastectomy, they don't really know because they're not told. So the whole purpose of Bra Day was to bring that about so that women could see what was available to them and what their options were, and that actually, like, MCP does cover it, so you don't have to worry about insurance and all those things that go along with breast cancer.
Stacey is scheduled for reconstruction in a couple of weeks. She's not having the tram flap procedure. Instead, she's having breast implants. There's less downtime, and that's important as the mother of 2 small children.
I was told I was a candidate to have, the double mastectomy done and reconstruction in the same procedure, and I chose not to do that. And, of course, doctors are saying, well, why would you want to do that when you can have them off and new ones come out with new ones? And I just felt that, trying to deal with learning that you've had cancer, you have to have your breasts removed, and then trying to decide, well, what type of surgery do I want? There's so many options for reconstruction, like what Joan had done, implants. There's so many different things to have. I felt like in a couple of weeks I just couldn't process all of these decisions to make.
Plastic surgeon Dr. Joy Cluett says there are a number of options open to women, and most people are candidates for breast reconstruction.
The most common procedure used today is tissue expansion. It involves having a balloon inserted first that has a port, and it's got a metal in it, a magnet. So we put this under the skin, and every couple of weeks the patient comes back, and using this, we find the port through the skin, similar to a portacath in chemo, and we inject some saline, fill up the balloon, stretch the skin, and after a couple of months bring them back and we put in a breast prosthesis. Same kind of prostheses used for people for cosmetic purposes. Often we have to do something with the other breast to even them out, and we make them a nipple if they would want to have a nipple for reconstruction. The other procedures involve boring tissue from other parts of your body. One of them is the tram flap, where we take a pedal tissue from the abdomen and we rotate it up to make a breast, still connected to its blood supply. There's another procedure being used around here now within the last year called the Dieppe flap, which takes the tissue with its blood supply and it's hooked up to the vessels behind the chest wall. So it spares more of the muscle in the abdomen. And the other one involves taking a flap from your back. And we often rotate it around with some skin and use a prosthesis as well for volume to cover, to fill it out. Those are the most common.
Do you two feel like you're an inspiration?
I hope so.
I think so. I think you have to be strong. You have to be strong to get through it, and just keep going. And I hope that we do inspire the women to at least let them know what their options are, and that there is life after breast cancer. Absolutely.
Well, Lynn, obviously this is a very personal matter for both these women and many others who go through this, but they were very courageous to come forward and, I guess, as you say, act as an inspiration to others to show that there is life beyond this diagnosis.
Well, I think the big thing with Joan and Stacey is they want people to be aware of their options. And let's face it, in any decision you make, when you're informed about your options, chances are you're going to make a better decision. So whether people want to have breast reconstruction or not, it is covered, by the way, by MCP, and as Joan mentioned. So at least you're aware of it. Then you can just decide what it is you want to do. And they are fascinating women, and they had a lot of other things to say about breast cancer, self-examination, the whole thing. So I just want to let you know they're going to be my special guests on Issues and Answers. The show will air on the 13th of November. That's the Sunday after next. So they're in for the half hour. Very interesting conversation, so please join us for that.
And they seem so positive and upbeat.
They are, very much so.
For them.
Very, very lovely women. And we want to thank them for coming on. We're going to take a short break now, but please.